MOM Radio and Pipe Bomb Radio present Not Your Mama's Radio Show with your hosts, former WWE superstars Oscar, Sir Mo, and Dreamy Mimi.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of Not Your Mama's Radio Show. Here's your host for tonight, Oscar.
Yay! Happy Halloween, everybody. And, yes, it is a special edition. It's Monday night, Not Your Mama tonight.
There you go.
Monday night, Not Your Mama's Radio Show. As we will be in Boston this coming Thursday at the Impact Awards, Dreamy Mimi and I. So tonight's going to be the night where we are going to get down. How you doing, Felix?
I'm doing good. Just I was pretty much busy getting some things set together for this week because we got a Halloween edition this week of both of our shows. So we're just getting things together and wondering what kind of costume I'm going to wear for Halloween. What you going to dress up as?
You know, I haven't thought that far. You know, I don't need a costume. I'm just going to go outside with my shirt off and scare all the trick-or-treaters.
Speaking of somebody that might scare somebody, here is Sir Mo.
Oh, speaking of Halloween.
How you doing, Mo?
Look in the mirror, dude. Take your shirt off, turn around, and look over your shoulder.
Yeah, no, I don't want to scare myself.
Scare yourself.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How you?
I'm all right. Yep.
How you doing, Felix?
I'm doing good. You ready for Halloween, Mo?
No, not really, because that's my daughter's birthday, and she's a creature in itself. So I can't say I'm ready for Halloween.
Speaking of birthdays, we got a birthday coming up too. We actually got a birthday of one of our hosts here.
Fat boy.
Yeah, he's got a birthday coming up. Anybody wants to call in and wish Oscar a happy birthday, feel free, 347-202-0399.
How old you going to be, 50 years fat?
Actually, I'll be a little bit older than that.
Older than 50?
Yeah, I'm older than 50.
Yeah, your
But
bumper
who's
days
older out of
over
you two?
with.
Is it Oscar that you're older, or Mo, are you older?
Oh,
Oscar's the oldest. Hold up, dog. I can still
Okay.
bump. Oscar the oldest.
Okay.
His bones creak when he walks. I still got some lubrication in my bones.
That was a shocking revelation when we all got together that I was way older than the both of them two.
Yeah.
I figured you all were about the same age, roughly. I mean, you got him by a couple years, not too much, right?
No, I'm about 7, maybe 8 years older than Mo, and I was way older than Nelson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
not a couple years, Felix. Not a couple.
What's that?
He's not a couple years older. He's way older.
Okay. All right.
You know, when you talk about, almost coming up to the top of the mountain, dude is halfway on the other side, man. Almost on the bottom end. No.
All right.
Hey, so Mo, tell us real fast, November 8th, what's going on out that way? Where you going to be at?
It's in Monroe, North Carolina at the it's like a peacock. Peacock is the bird. It's a restaurant and club. We're doing an autism awareness event. It's a free event to the public, just to raise awareness about autism, and the autism organization will be there taking donations. That's in Monroe, North Carolina. It's directly across the street from the Monroe Mall. There on West Roosevelt Highway. Monroe happens to be the place where I grew up, and none of my family or friends have ever seen me wrestle live and in person. It'd be the first time in over 20 years that I've been home for more than a day, and this time actually performing.
Oh, okay. So now I know that you're big, as we all are, with the anti-bullying. Now, is autism going to be another cause that you are going to champion on an ongoing basis?
No. It wasn't something that it wasn't something that it just wasn't one of those epiphany things. It's the guy that's in charge of putting on the event just happened to call me up and see if I wanted to be a part of it, and I thought, what the heck, sure. I mean, it was it's I don't do a whole lot, especially when it comes to having to travel 9 or 10 hours, for free. I don't do a whole lot, but I try to do as much charity work as I can, to give back for all that I've been given, because I've been truly blessed, and so when the opportunity came and presented itself, I thought, well, it'd be a good opportunity to go home and see the family and stay for more than a few hours, and also get a chance to perform in front of them before I decide that, the day has come that I hang my boots up. So it was just an opportunity, and I'm glad that it presented itself, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I think autism has been a issue here as of late. I've seen in the headlines where a couple of young people have been arrested and mistreated by the police that suffer from autism, and they didn't have a clue. The police not being aware that the person had this condition were a little rough on several people that I've seen in the headlines as of late. So I think that autism, just like Lou Gehrig's disease, just like kidney failure, even the bullying thing, I think it needs to be an awareness thing too, because you pull up to somebody and they seemingly is a normal person doesn't necessarily mean that they are.
Yeah, speaking of the bullying, tomorrow we are going in to try to solidify the contracts for the Boys and Girls Clubs out here in Northwest Indiana. I'm meeting with the director tomorrow to get that schedule going. So, yeah, I mean, when I saw that and heard about it, it's just, it's just I'm just happy for you. I'm happy for us all as a team, because it makes my heart feel good to see that, doors are starting to open, and the fact that not only are we in a position to put our names back out there, ourselves back out there, make some money in the process, but everything we doing is going in a positive direction, and at the same time, as far as taking care of ourselves and our families, at the same time we're able to give back, and people are starting to appreciate, the 20-plus years that we've been in this business and the fact that we stayed positive and other kind of stuff like that. So, yeah, I encourage you to keep on doing as much of that kind of stuff as possible. You know, if it's not costing you nothing, or, you know, as far as time goes or health-wise or even out of your pocket, you know, yeah, we need to just keep pressing on. And when they call our number, you know, to help out and give back, that's a good thing to do that.
Well, I've always been a giving person long before I got into the wrestling. Anyway, I've always been a spiritual person as well. You know, I clown a lot. You know, I'm a totally different character on the radio, and it is what it is. Sermo, just like with WWE, is a character. Bobby Horn, on the other hand, is a real person, and see, a lot of people don't know this, but prior to getting into wrestling, I was a minister, and here as of late, I have, you know, as I said, Oscar messaged earlier saying that I will be out of touch for a week, for this week, and I decided to come on this radio program today anyway. But this week, I am spending a week alone with myself to get refocused and to rededicate my life to God and my purpose and a mission that I started 24 years ago. That once I got into wrestling, I kind of ran, kind of been on this sneak and hide and run of this journey to keep from doing what God wants me to do. But, you know, at some point in time, we all have to realize that you can't run from God. You can't hide. You know, he's always there with you, by your side. You know, he's the only thing that's holding you up when times are rough and when things are down, when the chips are down. Your families don't hold you up. Your friends don't hold you up. God is the one that holds you up, you know, through all that and gets you through all that. And, you know, and I realized through all of the stuff that I've been through that he's held me up. You know, he saved my life on a couple different occasions. And, you know, now that, you know, it's getting close to time to hang the boots up and take a different journey in life, and now it's time to stop trying to run and to go back and do, not, well, you can never go back, but, you know, to stop, stand fast, and do the job that you were called to do in the beginning. So that's what I'm doing for the next 4 days. Actually, starting after I get off this phone tonight, I'm kind of going to be out of touch, out of reach from anybody. Just trying to refocus myself and change and get into a different mindset, because a couple of days last week, the devil knows what I was doing, because he was attacking me. And a couple of days last week, I was in a militant mindset. I was in a, you know, F the world. You know, I grew up on the street. I mean, I posted it on Facebook. You know, hey, I grew up with thugs in the streets of New York City, and all you keyboard gangsters, if you got anything to say to me or about me, I live in such and such state. I live in Dyersburg, Tennessee. Come see me, you know, so you can meet the real me. You know what I mean? So that was the frame of mind that I was in. I was in a very militant frame of mind, and I had no care for anyone, any person, anything, not even myself. The frame of mind, because I had just gotten so overwhelmed and so tired and fed up with all the negativity and all the, you know, there's just so much that you can take getting beat down, especially when you're standing there. You're standing there handing out hope and handing out help to other people, but yet there's people standing there just beating you down. And
hey guys, I just want to let you know that we have Mimi on the air now too. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, that's okay. And so you know, I just had to come to that reality. You know what? Jesus Christ went through the same thing. You know, he's walking the land. He's saving souls. He's healing people. And in spite of that, in his faith, you know, he's getting beat down, you know, by his own people. You know, I mean, one of the people that he chose to walk with him, you know, turned his back on him. So my thoughts were, you know, who am I? You know, am I better than Jesus Christ? I certainly am not. So why is it that I can't suffer, you know, something as similar as what he's gone through, you know, even in this life? Because this life is temporary. And so all the negativity, all the pain, and all the hurt, when we leave this life, it goes away with us. So I had to gather myself, because I was in a deep, dark place, and I don't think anybody, any doctor, any therapist, anybody was going to talk me out of that a few days ago.
Okay, well, you doing the right thing. You know, it's funny that you should mention that, and I'm glad that Dreamy is on with us now. Mo was just now talking about how he was taking a week, basically a sabbatical this week, to shut everything and everybody out and just commune with God and find himself and get direction on the calling that God wants him to go in. Yeah, I mean, you was talking about that very thing just last night.
Hello?
Yeah, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I didn't hear the last part you said.
I said you was talking about that very same thing just last night.
Yeah, what I was going to say, though, was what he just said, the last part he was saying about he doesn't think that, you know, a doctor or anybody could have talked him, you know, out of how he was feeling or where he was at that moment. That's why it's important to, you know, for people to have support systems and people around. God places people in our path so that at some point he can basically draw them to him. Mo, you already know the Lord. You already have a relationship with the Lord. So you were able to hear him drawing you in and showing you that. Where some people, when they get in that place, they don't know the Lord. So that's why they fall, you know, prey to suicide and things like that. Because,
right.
You know, because when you don't know Christ, you basically have no hope.
Right.
And, you know, that is one of the most important things in the world. It's not about religion. It's not about being religious or any of that. It's about knowing God, a non-judgmental God that loves you just as you are. You ain't got to do nothing to get his love or for him to save you or for him to, you know, be there for you or to pull you out or whatever. Just come to him and ask him to be in your life. That's all he requires of us.
Right.
But, you know, we as Christians ourselves, period, have to extend that and help others that, you know, may be that, you know, you don't have to feel like you're in a hopeless state, because the bottom line is the Lord, you know, loves us and he has a plan set for each and every one of our lives.
Right.
And I'm glad, brother, that you are getting, you know, going on in that deeper place to hear from God, to know exactly what it is that he has for you to do, which direction, which steps to take. We, like Greg said, we were just talking about it about the other day, how it's time for me to really dig back in and continue to listen to the Lord, because we got a lot of doors opening up right now. All three of us.
Yeah, I woke up this morning, and last night is funny because last night I was on YouTube, and believe it or not, I was on YouTube, and I was looking at testimonies from different wrestlers, that had changed their life and accepted Jesus Christ and were out there on the speaking circuit. And the first person I looked at was Ted DiBiase. I looked at his testimony, and I've always liked Ted DiBiase, and I've always respected him. And I kind of got annoyed a little bit when he proceeded to give his testimony, and he talked about being a former WWE superstar, and that he wanted to make it clear that he was no longer working for that company or a part of that company, and that he didn't respect the direction that company was going. Because this at the time that he did his testimony was during the beginning of the Austin 316 era. And I thought that was ironic that that was part of his testimony, but nothing really had changed from that era about the company. But shortly after that testimony, he went back to work there. His son was hired there, and he went back to work there for a little while. And it's just so funny how people condemn something, but then they run right back to it. I'm for one, I'm not going to condemn something, and then because of my circumstances, financial or otherwise, not going to run back to that.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not our place to condemn anything.
Right, and so to me that's hypocrisy, But I woke up this morning. And I was scrolling through Facebook, and I happened to see a message from one of my old classmates. And you know how it's funny is your old classmates, and you know how they were in school, and then you scroll through your Facebook or something, and you ain't seen them or talked to them in 25 years, and they're like this big, huge pastor at this church now. And you're thinking, what? Dude's a pastor? I mean, we're talking about, and you think about it, and you like, I mean, you have to realize that Jesus Christ, when he walked the earth, he didn't walk the earth for the righteous anyway.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? He didn't walk the earth for the righteous anyway. And we as men, as humans, we are the type of people that if you want me to believe something, right? Mm-hmm. Show me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Show me.
He uses people that you have to have gone through something in order for him to use you. You can't be a testimony to somebody else or help anybody else if you're not an ex something.
Right.
Whether it be a drug addict, a dope dealer, or whatever it is, your life is supposed to be used in, all the struggles and all of that. As you were saying that, I was laughing because just yesterday I was watching TV, and a classmate of mine from high school was at one of the big churches in Chicago. He was preaching on TV. And I was like, oh, my God. But I never would have thought it. But you never know, what a person's path takes. I mean, what path a person's life takes and how God touches each one of our lives. So, it's just a blessing for us to step up and, listen to the Lord.
That was part of my problem. Yes.
Hey, guys, I just want to let you know I do have a caller calling in with a special message for Oscar.
Go for it.
So I'm going to bring him on now. You're on the air with Oscar, Mo, and Mimi. Go ahead.
Oscar, Mo, and Mimi. Go ahead.
Hey, Oscar, this is your brother Michael.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, man?
I'm fine. How you doing?
All right, hey, guess whose birthday it is today?
Who?
Kiki. She wants to talk to you. Hold on.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Kiki. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, my birthday's Wednesday. This was my birthday show on the radio today, so we celebrating our birthday. Hello?
You scared us,
So
see?
your birthday's on the 29th?
Yep. But, happy birthday, and thank you for calling me.
You're welcome.
I love you, honey.
Happy birthday, Kiki. You scared her, Oscar.
I scared her?
Hello.
Yeah, you scared her.
Yeah, hello?
Hi,
Oh, hi, who's this?
this is Shaquana.
Hey, Shaquana, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in. What's happening? Give us a quick word. How's Howard?
Oh, I want to say happy birthday to the person that birthday is the 29th, and it's almost over for me. 3 more years. Woo-hoo.
Oh, okay. Well,
have a good evening.
All right. Well, thank you for thank y'all for calling in and wishing me a happy birthday. And the person is your Uncle Greg. Me, Uncle Greg. You remember me? All right. Felix?
You scared her too, Oscar.
Yeah, scared everybody. Okay, Felix?
Yep, we lost him. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, we're going to go to commercial.
Okay.
We're going to go to commercial and come back to the WWE report.
Okay, we'll do that right now. Back in a moment, guys.
Hey, Doc, my feet are killing me. The pain, the swelling. I'm not sure I can take much more. I don't walk. I wobble. I can't remember the last time I danced. It's even hard to stand. What's the problem?
Well, first you should be screened to determine if you're diabetic. Did you know that 25.8 million Americans have diabetes? Diabetes affects the feet, which is why it's very important to have regular foot evaluations. Here at Freeman Foot Care, we are trained to do just that. So come on back. We'll have you dancing in no time.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. Please give us a call at 219-882-2000. And we're conveniently located at 650 Grant Street, Suite 4, in Gary, Indiana.
Once again, it's time to take a look back at what we saw on Monday Night Raw. Not Your Mama's Radio Show presents The Raw Report with Dreamy Mimi.
Are you breaking up with me? Bray Wyatt returns. This is your WWE report for the week of October 26, 2014. On the midweek season finale of Total Divas, wedding bells rang for Eva Marie. While there are signs of divorce papers being filed for Natalya, her marriage to WWE star Tyson Kidd has a dark cloud which seems to only be getting darker. And what of the romance between John Cena and Nikki Bella? It seems since they are on 2 separate paths, they may decide to call it quits. The winter season of Total Divas resumes this January with new cast members, Alicia Fox and Paige. And speaking of Paige, at last night's Hell in a Cell, she failed to bring it again against AJ Lee. AJ pulled out the win to retain the Divas belt. In a recent interview, Lee was quoted as saying that there are few divas who can hang quite well in the Hell in a Cell contest. The hell is she thinking? Sons of the American Dream, Stardust and Goldust remain your Bizarro Tag Team Champions, pulling out yet another victory over the Usos. Dolph Ziggler zigzagged his way to retaining the U.S. title, defeating Cesaro, and Sheamus bro-kicked his way to still being the Intercontinental Champ. Now let's take a look into the sales. In match 1,499, after multiple attitude adjustments and RKOs, John Cena came out on top over Randy Orton to gain another shot at Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. For my money, neither of these men will walk away from the pay-per-view with the strap, as the battered body of the loser will fall prey to Seth Rollins, who, by the way, defeated Dean Ambrose. And why in the hell did they have that match contest with plenty of help by Kane, Jamie Noble, and a special guest appearance by Bray Wyatt? He pulled out the victory. Look for him to capitalize on the broken body of the winner between Cena and Lesnar. As I predict, he will cash in his Money in the Bank contract for an easy win for the title. This WWE report is brought to you by WWE Network. You can have it for just $9.99.
And for just $9.99, you could have the WWE Network. I don't know who, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, does not know that by now.
I believe we may have your brother calling back in. Oscar, you want to take it back and try it again?
Yeah, I tell him he can just hang on and listen. We got things to do. But just hang in there, Mike. We'll get back to you. So, all right. So, Sir Mo, news for you. I'd like to, let our fans know everything that's going on. There's a possibility you may have extra added duty at the Boston Pro Wrestling Marathon event coming up in Boston.
Boston Pro Wrestling Marathon event, extra duty. Okay. What are these extra duties we're referring to?
Well, they are adding a seminar to the mix. So I am in the middle of negotiating for you to be an instructor at said seminar.
Oh. Is that A as in one or as in part of a team of instructors?
Well, I'm imagining it's going to be a team of instructors, and you will be one of the instructors. So, I think that you would be, fantastic in that role. I am negotiating that now. Add some padding to your nest egg, and I think you'll add some real credibility to the seminar, that they're going to be having.
Is this in March or?
March, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I'm on go for everything. I really don't have a whole lot of details of where I'm going and when I need to be there, and I mean I have dates, but I don't.
Yeah, don't feel bad, Mo. I get the same thing, same treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's part of that's very. It's just a very frustrating thing there. That some of the stuff that these people put you through when they book you and they want you to come and do these things, and they give you a roundabout.
Yeah, then they tell you to pack a bag.
They don't tell you where you're going, where exactly you're going. Just be ready to go on this date, and we're going here, but no real details of what type of event it is, cause, as far as
I totally understand.
And as far as the seminar thing, I think that's awesome, man. It's just in the negotiations, really find out who it is, who the other instructors are, because sometimes when it comes to wrestling, we all were taught things differently. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's just kind of hard to gel with certain people, but it would be good to know who else would be involved in the seminar.
Well, okay.
Feel like you just got attacked, double teamed, don't you?
Oh, well, that's common.
That's common?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely common. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and your sister there, y'all love the tag team. So hey, I'm used to it.
Okay, Oscar. Dan is on the line now.
All right, let's put Dan through. Dan.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm breathing, brother.
All right. And what city you calling from?
Just north of Boston, Mass.
All right, Boston, Mass. The guy from MWF Super Site, the home of John Cena Sr. Dan, how are you, my man?
Oh, busy night working away at the TV studio, and I was listening to you guys on the computer, as a matter of fact, while I was editing away.
Oh, okay. All right, well, first off, tell us about MWF, some of the things you guys have done, John Cena Sr.'s involvement, and what do you guys got coming up for the holidays?
Well, MWF, I'm not a big one, the word independent, more of a regional wrestling promotion. We've done things all around New England, on the Carolinas. We've been involved in video productions up in Toronto and Las Vegas and so on. Platform that I like to run by it's a place for the wrestlers of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Big on having stars that have, not even full-fledged superstars, but just guys that have a great experience under their belt that can pass the wisdom along to those that are open-minded enough to accept it. We usually have 3 or 4 guys with the national rep, some guys you'd call a quote-unquote professional wrestler that's tried to make an income out of the business as opposed to treating it as a hobby on the weekend, and just the guys that are in wrestling school right now trying to chase their dreams. It's a nice mix of what we have with our live events. We have great relations with both WWE and TNA, which are a giant help in the grand scheme of things. Do a lot of nonprofit work. We have the Keep the Kids Off the Street campaign that we created. We've been named Special Olympic partners, and we've just been involved. It was our 13th anniversary last week, and just flashing back at some of the crazy projects that we've been involved with that you'd never expect a group of our size, our location, and so on to be involved with is so cool. We've done things with WWE promoting 2 of their movie releases of the movie The Condemned, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came in for that. And this summer we worked with folks in the area that had Hulk Hogan come in. We were able to have the fans come in and meet him at no cost. And we had WWE U.S. Champion Daniel Bryan on one of our events while he was the WWE U.S. Champion. And I can tell you there's not any other promotion other than WWE that can state that. Just that we had an event at the TD Boston Garden where you guys both competed at Survivor Series 1993. So we've done a heck of a lot of interesting stuff over the past 13 years, and it's just, well, it's not the easiest genre to be in 2014. We just keep plugging along in a positive way, trying to make positive things happen.
And now, to top everything off, you're going to have all the names that you mentioned are really prestigious. I'm really impressed. But you're going to have the biggest name of all on Thursday as you are interviewing Oscar, me, on Thursday.
I think that's going to be fun.
I
wasn't expecting it. Wasn't expecting it at all. We were going to have Deborah McMichael with us on Saturday, but there was a scheduling issue, and she wasn't able to come in for it. And then Saturday night, when I was at home working away on the computer on a few things, whose message popped up on my computer but Oscar. So I think that's really cool. Have a good time. Do a great job promoting what you guys are doing out in the Midwest. This show's great from what I've heard so far tonight.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thanks, and looking forward to seeing you. Now, you guys you guys work closely with John Cena Sr. What's his involvement with your promotion?
Johnny has been with us, I think it'll be 9 years next week. He has done just about everything you can think of. He's a great character as far as the on-air, in-ring stuff type goes. He's the money man, a villainous type manager, president, and so on. He has great input in some of the creative things. Some of the talent that's come in, I would have never even thought of if it wasn't his suggestion. So he is a first-class human being. Most people gravitate him because of his last name, but even if his name was John Smith, he's an outstanding human being. And I think anyone that's ever worked with him can attest to that. Just a great guy. And he adds even that much more to it because, every kid on the planet right now is a John Cena fan. So when they see the dad that's been attacked on TV by Edge, he's been attacked on TV by Randy Orton. Here in the MWF, we had John Layfield down the studio once, and he beat the hell out of him. So they're familiar with him, and he's also, tied into his son, obviously.
No, well, I think that's awesome that you guys, are doing big things out there in the Boston area. Now, you guys have a thing coming up called Holiday Headlocks. Tell us all about that.
Well, on Saturday, December the 6th, we're taking a step back from the huge dinner we had last year at a venue called Kowloon, which is a Chinese restaurant just north of Boston. You guys may have eaten at back in the day. To try and make it more of an experience for the fans, a little bit more intimate, to try and make sure more of the money that's raised go towards the kids from Globe Santa. As we like to say, for whatever reason, Santa Claus doesn't have every kid's address in his GPS and he has a hard time reaching them. This is an effort to try and make that happen. I think that's awful. Think about a poor kid waiting for Santa Claus, all his friends have Santa visit, and then for whatever reasons that may be going on outside of their mind and their realm of reality, it doesn't happen for them. So, we're not going to raise $1 million, but what we do raise, it's going to be a great thing.
Okay. I think it's going to be a fantastic, awesome event. I'm glad you guys are having it. I'm glad you guys are out there doing it. Now, what made you, what made you get started? How did MWF come to be? And how did you start? And what are your goals moving forward? What do you hope to, accomplish, besides making a ton of money and getting notoriety out there? Now, you guys like the number one promotion out in the Boston area, or one of the top ones, or how's that going for you?
I hate to talk with an ego, which probably isn't a good thing in an interview like this. But, probably most recognized. And plus, BostonWrestling.com is pretty easy to remember, so that was a smart name to buy. We have a lot of fun with it. I think it's presented in a more realistic fashion. I think we use the better athletes, the guys that have been around and, have that experience under their belt, as opposed to just taking any guy out of a wrestling training center, giving him $10 and saying you're a wrestler tonight. That's very important to me because I feel, and I wish it wasn't true, but I think most wrestling that's not WWE is looked at under the same umbrella. And there's a lot of people I don't want to be under the same umbrella with. And I feel that if you give the fans a lousy experience once, even if it's a wrestling group in Boston, number B, everybody's going to be affected by that. So it's very important to me that the fans get value each and every time out. And I think it's also important for the younger guys on the roster to get a positive experience every time out. Because let's face it, there's a lot of places right now that are absolute garbage for them to go and work, but they'll take it because there's nowhere else to go, and that's frustrating.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I can totally agree with that. I have worked many shows where I leave the building thinking to myself, why did I just work for these yard tards? What's the point? What's the purpose? It's almost like, just that whole thing reminds me of our show last week when we had some guy named Jeremy Seabolt on who's doing an event in November the 22nd in Valparaiso, Indiana. It's his very first event, and he's never promoted wrestling before. And we had him on our radio program last week. I don't know why, but we had him on our radio program last week, and we were asking him about the card, and his very first wrestling event, he's having a battle royal, and he's having a tag team, like 2 or 3 team tag team match to crown a tag team champion and to crown a cruiserweight champion. And, you know, for somebody that's been doing it for a while, what company opens up debuts and crowns champions and the fans don't even know who these wrestlers are?
Amen. Believe me.
But you know what I mean?
I concur with you 100%. I don't know the gentleman that you're referring to, but I think, you know, I hate to be the guy that looks at it in a negative way and points to the Internet over and over again, but it just seems like once that information was so freely available to people, you know, at first, back in the early 2000s, everybody that had access to the Internet, they wanted to be the next ECW. And what did they do? They destroyed venues. They destroyed relations with nonprofit groups that wanted to run a professional wrestling show instead of a stuntman show. Now you have folks with WWE is the only game that they can really pay attention to and so on. Everybody wants to be the 3-hour Raw Super Show, which is not very well thought out in a lot of instances. It's more of a week-to-week soap opera. And that these folks, they might mean well, but they don't know any better. And I feel bad for that in a lot of ways, but the person that's been around this now for 21 years gets very angry about it. The wrestling fan deserves better than that. And like I said, the boys deserve better than that. There are right now many more people sitting at home not watching Monday Night Raw than there are watching Monday Night Raw. And I think that's the real sin in the overall scheme of things. I think there's a lot of fans.
Just want to let you guys know we do have Mr. Seaboat actually on the line.
And to tell us why he's going to kill wrestling like WCW, ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Seaboat. Welcome back to the program. What do you think of what Mo just said?
Hey, before I get into it with Mo, my kid got a message for you, Oscar.
Happy birthday.
I wanted to say happy birthday, sir.
Now, I'm not going to talk about a guy who gives me a birthday greeting like that, Mo.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, it's nothing personal. I've been in this business 24 years, and, you know, it doesn't matter what anybody else says or does. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Everybody has their own opinion, and I haven't been in this for 24 years. My opinion is that if you're gonna do it, do it the right way, or don't do it at all. That's just my opinion. I mean, because at the end of the day, as the gentleman we were speaking to prior to getting this phone call, at the end of the day, I don't, you know, like when I meet somebody new and and the subject of wrestling comes up, the first thought comes to their mind is that crappy wrestling show that, you know, they've never been to a major event or anything. All they've ever done is go to one of these local shows, and that crappy wrestling show that they was just at down the street last week, and the guy looks at me, oh, you're part of that. No, I'm not part of that. You know, what I am and what I've done for 24 years is not that. You know, my thinking is not that thinking. You know, I don't want guys, and I've run shows now since I left WWE in 96. I don't hire guys that, number one, don't look like wrestlers. Number two, that ain't never been properly trained unless I train them myself. You know, and I don't hire guys that'll call me up and say, hey, man, I'll work for free, or I'll work for $5, or I'll work for $10. Because my whole thing is, if I'm going to put on a show, I want to put on the best product. My product, you know, I want to put on an event. I don't want to put on just wrestling. You know, anybody can get an income tax check and go buy a wrestling ring and get a group of guys and put them in some kick pads and amateur boots and some MMA shorts and go flying around the ring doing all this high-flying, crazy moves and all that stuff that don't mean anything, that don't tell any kind of story, and that's not, the bottom line is drawing money. All of that high-flying, crazy, non-storytelling, look like you got trained in the backyard stuff will not draw a coin. And what these guys are doing, and what we as guys has been doing it for a long time, are allowing them to do is, with the crap that they put on, right, that won't draw a dime, they're spending an extra $400 or $500, bringing in a name, and so the people are thinking, well, you know what? I haven't seen King Kong Bundy in a long time. He's gonna be at this wrestling event. I'm gonna go to this wrestling event. I want to see King Kong Bundy. Not knowing exactly what they're getting into as far as the wrestling goes, because they're just thinking in their head they want to go see King Kong Bundy. They haven't seen him in years and in person ever, so they're spending their money to go see King Kong Bundy. You know what I mean? I want people to think in their mind, I'm spending my $20 because I'm going to see a good wrestling show, not just some name. I want from beginning to end to see a good wrestling show. And that's the problem. That's what we've gotten away from is promoters. I'm not speaking of the gentleman we were speaking with earlier, but promoters that just want to, don't care if they sell 50 tickets or 100 tickets for $10. They just want to throw together 3 or 4, 5, 6 matches that don't mean anything, that has no substance, and the outcomes don't have anybody leaving the building saying, man, I feel sorry for that babyface. He just got beat up, or I can't wait to come back and see him get revenge on. Which is what they should be leaving. They should be leaving the shows with some type of emotion, extremely happy, extremely pissed off, or extremely upset that their favorite babyface, just got left laying in a pool of blood in the ring, and they worried if he's okay or not. But they're also mad at that other guy that did it to him, or 3 or 4 guys that did it to him, and hoping that when they come back, they'll see that same babyface get some retribution on those guys. That's what sells tickets. That's what makes money, emotion. And none of these shows present that. And that, for me, being in this business 24 years, is frustrating.
All right, Jeremy, I got a ton of people calling, trying to get in, so I want you to quickly respond to what Mo just said.
I think it's an unfair assumption to group everything that promotes a show. Yeah, there are bad promoters out there, absolutely. But the bottom line is everybody starts somewhere at once. When Mo promoted his first show, he was in the same spot I am. He might have had more knowledge than I did, or I do, but the bottom line is everybody starts somewhere at once, and it's not fair to group everybody together under one assumption that, all promoters running their first show are going to be bad. I've got storylines wrote out for my show. I've got angles that I want to do. I've got things that I'm working on. So it's not
let me ask you a question, Jeremy. Let me ask you a question now, because I totally understand storylines and I totally understand the angles. I totally get that. This is your first event, correct?
Absolutely.
There's no way you can start a first event with angles and the storylines. Absolutely no way. There's
I agree with that, but coming out of my first event, though, I will have things set up for the second show. The first show I'm putting together, I'm building on. Yes, I brought in Al Snow. Yes, I've got a few other names coming in. That guy, I forget his name. I think it's maybe. No, him. And Ryan was coming in tough enough, and TNA Gut Check. And right now, one other name that's booked, but that name may be subject to change. But yeah, I am bringing in a name to draw a crowd. But my intent is to draw the crowd and then show them that, look, we can put on a wrestling show where we don't have to bring in a big name every time. But I am absolutely using.
That's where you're making your mistake, Jeremy. We had this conversation months and months ago. That's where you're making your mistake. That's called hot shot booking. That's called hot shot booking. Hot shot booking is when you load the car with names or whatever, okay, and let's just say you bring in 400 people. Now, what are you going to bring back to entice those same 400 people to come back the next time? Because if those 400 people are coming to see the names, right, and you're not planning on having those names back the next time, you're not going to get those same 400 people back. The whole object of running shows is you slowly build up your local talent to where they're drawing people in. Then you add a name. To draw in more people, and those new people that come in, you want to sustain at least 10% of that to come back the next time by the entire product that you put on, even though you use a name. And with the name, you use that name talent to put over one of your local guys to give him credibility. Now people are saying, oh, man, Joe Blow over here beat Al Snow. So, you know, if he can beat Al Snow, he should be in the WWE. So this is somebody we can follow. So then now you don't have to have a name on the card because you've given this younger kid, hopefully he's got talent, some credibility. And so people are coming in, your crowds are getting bigger, you're able to build up a little nest egg there. So then now you want to get this guy over even more, so then you bring in another name. Or maybe now you want to get your tag teams over, so you bring in a name tag team, you know, and you use that name tag team to put over your local guys. This is how you sustain your business. My point to you is this. Your first show is in a bar, okay? That crowd is going to be totally different than a normal crowd where moms and dads bring their kids.
Absolutely, okay? I 100% agree on that.
You know, so to draw a normal crowd, with storylines that's going to be compelling, because you always got to think young folks, young kids, mom's going to be bringing their little kids, or dad's going to be bringing their sons and daughters. You know, when they see your poster, when they see your poster, you want them to recognize some of the names on your poster, not just some of the names that they've seen on TV.
I absolutely agree, and that's why the guys I've booked locally are guys that have a following here that will bring people to the show, and
what determines that? What determines that? What determines that?
What determines that? The guys
how do you know those guys have? How do you know those guys have a following?
Because I've been to shows and seen the tickets they sell and the seats that are reserved with their names on them and whatnot.
Oh, so their family and friends come and watch them wrestle.
And they got a following. I mean, they sell their T-shirts, and I mean, I couldn't tell you how many. I've been to any promotions where guys, you know, fans show up in their T-shirts. That's not uncommon, and those are the guys that are booked here. You know, the guys that have a little bit of a following. You know, I mean, we can agree to disagree on business, 100%. But I mean, I guess the bottom line is from your perspective, the only right way to do it is the way you see it, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe there's another way.
No. From my perspective, the only right way to do it is the right way to do it. It's not my way. It's just the right way. It's not my way. I mean, because if it was my way, there wouldn't be other people out there that thought my way. It's not just my way. It's just the right way. So I use you an example. I use you as an example because because it's your first show, not because I have nothing personal against you or anything like that. It's only because it's your first show, and we're just talking psychology.
No, absolutely.
From a business perspective of how it should run and how people view WWE and how they view all these other groups, and so it's not a dig at Jeremy Seabolt as much as it's a dig at the gentleman who runs is in MWF, correct?
Correct.
It's not a dig at Jeremy Seabolt. It's a dig at the word indie promotion, because MWF is not considered an indie promotion. They're a regional promotion, and so it's not a dig at Jeremy Seabolt as much as it's a dig at those indie promotions that don't do it the right way. And the reason they don't do it the right way is because, number one, the people running them have egos, and they don't listen to people that's been there and that's done that, and that tries to be helpful in showing them the right way to do something. That would be like an idiot going into New York City, trying to corner the real estate market, and he's never had a conversation. He's never had a conversation with Donald Trump.
Well, that's what I mean, though. It's a perspective thing on the psychology, because what you deem as fact, you could talk to somebody else who's been in the business 25 years, and they may not necessarily agree with you. And that's what I'm saying is everybody. But just because they've been in the business 25 years doesn't mean that they know what I know, been where I've been, done what I've done, and know right and wrong. It doesn't have nothing to do with the 25 years that I've been in the business. It has everything in the world to do with you bake a cake a certain way. The only difference is the frosting. That you put on the outside, or the decorations that you do. You have to put the batter in an oven. Period. You have to mix it up and put it in an oven. The only thing you do different is the designs and the decorations and all that stuff. But you bake it the same way. Wrestling, in turn, for over 100 years, works. If you use the same formula, it works. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about his opinion, because everybody's got an opinion on everything, But opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, but a proven formula works, and that's what I'm talking about. A proven formula. It doesn't matter if I've been in the business 50 years. Doesn't mean that I know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that there's a certain formula to drawing people to an event, that one should follow, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm not saying that my way is the only way. But I am saying that to somebody that's having their debut event, just the structure of what I've heard so far will not draw it. You might draw a crowd the first show. I'm not saying you won't, because wrestling, by all intents and purposes, if you put wrestling on the marquee
without no names if you put wrestling on the marquee and if you advertise. Because, see, that's the number one thing about wrestling that draws people is you can have Stone Cold Steve Austin on your show and draw 5 people because nobody knew about the show.
That's true. There's a company up here that I know of that had Ricky Morton come in and they had nobody show up to the show.
That's probably because they didn't advertise.
Oh, and they didn't.
Right.
And that's
Jeremy, hang out. Dan, hang out. Half Pint Kelly, I know you holding. Hang on. But right now, I got to bring on Dr. David Reese. He's been waiting for about 30 minutes now. So, Phyllis, go ahead and bring Dr. Reese. Jeremy, we're going to get back to you. Dan, I want you to hang out. It's my birthday. So hang out, hang out. But right now, Dr. Reese, come on the air.
Happy birthday, Oscar. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, young man. Thank you. Dr. Reese is a psychiatrist to athletes that have problems, be it the WWE, the NBA, the NFL, whatever. This is the shrink to the muscle guys. Dr. Reese is working with us on a project called the Equilibrium Initiative. It's a project that we got going right now where in the recent rash of wrestler suicides, we are in the process of creating a program where wrestlers, NBA, NFL players, and athletes alike are basically going to have some place to go, some place to turn. A 1-800 hotline where if they're feeling suicidal, feeling depressed, or have a problem, they can call. An Instagram they can go to. A Facebook they can go to. An email address they can email. Someplace where athletes, former athletes, when the lights go out, will have a support group that they can turn to talk about their problems. Chris Benoit may never have did the things he did and killed himself. Sean O'Hare may never committed suicide. Kelly Von Erich and so forth. These tragedies may not have happened if these people had some place to go, somebody they can turn to, and this what Equilibrium is going to be. This is what we're creating. Is that right or wrong, Dr. Reese?
Well, that's right. And, it's truly important to wrestling. It's important to sports, and it's important to our society as a whole, even the tragedy that occurred up in Washington last week. Too many times people can look good on the outside, can cover it up. No one knows what's really going on until something breaks tragically. And if there's a place, it doesn't have to be professional, just somewhere where there's no stigma, where you can talk openly, and where it's not just on Facebook or something where you're going to get a lot of bull crap in return, where you can really talk person to person, make contact. It's going to let people open up, and I'm not going to say it's going to prevent every tragedy. That would be unrealistic. Sure as hell prevent a lot of them.
I mean, it's just the thing where, they just don't have a place to go. See, a lot of people look at athletes as superheroes, but let me address something about superheroes right quick. Your mythological superheroes, Superman had a weakness, it was kryptonite. Batman is bipolar and depressed because even as a man and a superhero, he still carries the tragic death of his parents around. Spider-Man lost his one and only love, Gwen Stacy. He carries that around. So our athletes today, who we look at as superheroes and Supermen, they have human problems too. They perform on the field, they bring us joy, but they carry the same kinds of problems inside as all of us do. And they need a support system too.
We all do. No matter how big you are, no matter how much talent you have, no matter how much money you have, you're still human, and we've all gone through a lot of crap, and at times it takes its toll. And unfortunately, people sometimes play into the image that they think that they're supposed to uphold, and they lose sense of who they really are in their own humanity.
Well, no, this is a fantastic thing that you have helped. You are helping with the development, and we're laying a foundation. And Dan, this is the reason why I'm coming to Boston. I'm coming to meet my friend Dr. Reese here. We're going to the Sports Legacy Institute Impact Awards this coming Thursday night. I'm going to see you early Thursday. We're going to get together, have fun, and do interviews, but we're going to do a lot of networking, bring some awareness to our program. We're going to be doing some press, a lot of interviews, and actually getting to the planning stages of the people that we have to partner with and see to help put this phenomenal program together. We're going to have conventions and seminars and a whole bunch of different things. So, I'm just looking forward to seeing you, Dr. Reese. Thank you for sponsoring us to come in. Dan, I can't wait to see you Thursday, but this is what we're working on.
Well, it's my pleasure and my honor. I'm not going to take more time from you guys, but great talking to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you Thursday.
All right, Dr. Reese, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, and thank you for the birthday wishes.
Happy birthday.
All right, well, we got a window. First, is Half Pint Kelly still holding?
Yes, she is. I'm going to bring her on right now.
All right.
I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Well, thank you, dear. Tell us who you are. I don't even know who I'm talking to.
Shit, this is Half Pint Kelly. I'm MCW. I'm from MCW, Micro Champion Wrestling. I've been doing that for about a year. My trainer is Starla Love. She's off of MCW, and that whole part of a storyline. Yes, there's got to, storyline is like the top up there. To know why this person. What's going on, because if you just sit there and just watch a wrestling show and you just like, well, why did that guy just win? Just have a tag team and then have some another match that doesn't even combine together. It's like having that is very important in wrestling. That's what I think.
And you are, how old are you?
I'm 29.
You're 29 years old?
Yeah.
And you've been watching wrestling how long?
For about 10 years.
About 10 years, not 24, just 10.
About 10 years.
So you've learned all this knowledge in 10 years, where it took me 24 years of being a part of it to get this knowledge, right?
Well, more so I learned it in less than I learned it from Starla Love. So. Okay.
So storyline is important.
Yes, I think a storyline is very important because knowing what's going to happen next just makes it more intense. Like, ooh, you see, that guy lost, wonder what's going to happen at the next show. You don't need these big name people out in these city shows, coming from like Washington to another state, because you want to bring out the city boys or whatever, to bring out their names and then go on from there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And who taught you all that?
My trainer.
Your trainer taught you all that?
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
And like the psychology part, like you got, when you're in that ring, you gotta know, you gotta trust your partner and trust who you're working with, because if you don't, then there shouldn't even be a match, because it's gonna look stupid.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
I mean, I've been to shows where there's just like there was posters all over, and big name people, and like you said, like I seen like 5, maybe 6 people showed up, and they were like, well, why did no one show up? Advertising.
Right.
Have one of like this, some kid that one of the bar or whoever promoter who they're doing the wrestling show with. Have one of their kids go put out the flyers, get those flyers out. So
right.
there is going to be a show, so people will show up.
So in your area, is there a lot of wrestling in your area?
So yes, kind of, yes, but not during certain times of the season.
Certain times of the season?
Yes.
And what area are you in?
I'm from Minnesota.
Oh, from Minnesota?
Twin Cities.
Okay.
know.
So you get wrestling out there every night, every blue moon.
Yeah, and like prime time. Prime time happens about once a month, and then they disappear for a while, and then it's just like. But there's a couple like local shows, but there's the wrestling is not. The show is not like legit. You know, it's like okay. And you know it's not fun. They don't bring the fun in it. You gotta have fun in wrestling.
Gotcha.
You know you gotta bring out a little bit of laughter in wrestling, like gimmicks and whatnot, and yeah.
Okay.
So what are you doing for your birthday?
Oscar, what are you doing for your birthday?
Yeah, actually, I am going to be traveling from Chicago to Boston on my birthday, so I am actually going to be on a train, so I'll have my phone on. But as soon as I get off the train, it's going to be on and popping.
Oh, it's going to be on and popping.
On and popping.
And you know, I think in like WWE too and everything, I don't know, most people, I don't know, some people, little people or midgets, should be brought out more in WWE and such. And yeah, there's Hornswoggle and everything, but like females, bring the females out. I think it would attract more.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just my opinion.
So, and how long have you been working?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay.
I started off with AWA Rock and Roll Buck Zumhofe, but that's another story.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
That's another story, but anyways.
I got you. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead and plug your Facebook page so us promoters know where to find you.
All right, it's Kelly, KELLI, SCHULTE, Kelly Schulte, and my gimmick name is Party Time Kelly and Half Fighting Kelly, depending on if I'm a baby or a heel.
Okay. And you're out of Minnesota.
Minnesota. The cold state of Minnesota.
I'm going to have my buddy Chad contact you about an event that we're putting together up there so we can see what you got going. We really appreciate you calling in.
Well, yeah. You all have a good night.
And sharing your expertise. You have a good one, too.
Birthday wish.
What's up?
All right.
Thanks for the birthday wish.
Yep, you too. You guys have a good night.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, Dan, how do you go from being you starting out, how do you go from being an indie promoter to being a federation that gets to travel around the country and just be big, basically? How do you go from that to that?
I wouldn't say you really have to go big. It's just a matter of having important key people in different parts of the country. One of our top heels happened to emanate from North Carolina. He moved up to New England to train, improve his skill, improve the craft, and then he moved back down to North Carolina. And it was the perfect base down there. The Carolinas are a much, much, much easier place to draw with less compared to up here in the Northeast, where the expectation is higher, not just with wrestling, but with all forms of entertainment that are so easily accessible. Down in the Carolinas, they're genuinely happy to have an event like that come to town.
Right. Okay, so when you started out, your first inaugural event, did you have champions? Did you create champions? Where did your talent come from?
Well, the first event, you talk about a nightmare. It was about a week and a half after 9/11.
Okay.
Everything in the country was in an uproar. Never mind what was going on in my mind as far as my own little, piece of the pie in the wrestling world went. First event, we waited about a year and a half before we crowned our first champion. It was important to try and establish who the guys were. We did have a few nationally recognized stars from WWF, WWE on the event, but we tried to build it around with the focus on the regional guys, the local guys, whether they be from New England, Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and so on. Because at the end of the day, it's more important to get those guys over than the names, because those are the guys that are coming back event after event that the fans are going to become more and more familiar with if we're able to encourage them to come to future events. And they're the cornerstone of what you do.
Okay.
So I've always tried to look at, like Paul Bear, my dear friend, As much as I wish he was here right now, we used to talk every day. He was the figurehead president and so on and so forth. But there's someone that wasn't just bringing a name to the event, just having him out there managing guys like that gave them instant rub. Instant rub as soon as they worked out the door. When you work with names that kind of get it and know what they're doing, like a Road Dogg or an Al Snow that we had before, and understand what you're trying to get across instead of some of the guys who I won't name that come across with the big egos and wouldn't think of taking a bump, never mind doing a job. Those are the guys that you need to try and incorporate into the grand scheme of what you're trying to do, event in and event out.
Right. Gotcha.
My opinion.
Well, look, this is just my own personal. This is my own personal experience. I've gone to promotions, and I'm sitting in the back. You know, I've gone in. I've met everybody. I'm sitting in my own little corner, and anybody that wants to come and ask me something, you know, I'm ready and willing to answer questions, whatever. I try not to interject unless I'm asked. If you ask me to watch a match and give you my opinion, I will. I won't just watch a match and then, you know, I try not to do that. But I'm sitting there at these shows and promoters come to me and they say, just get them over as much as you can and then just go over. And I say to the promoter, I said, did you pay me to come here to just sell some tickets for this event, or do you want your show to draw beyond this? You know what I mean? Yeah. And most of them don't have a clue. Most of them don't have a clue. So I always, no matter what happens, I always, if the promoter tells me to go over, even though it's his show and it's what he wants, and I know that the only reason he's telling me to go over is he's too afraid to ask me not to go over.
You're right.
You know what I mean? The truth is the truth. He wants me to put his kid over, but he's afraid to ask me.
Yep.
You know, as so many promoters are afraid to ask some names because, you know, there's some people that no matter what you pay them, they're not going to put anybody over.
And in real life, with the New York Yankees 162-0 in any season, come on, get real.
Right. You know, so 9 times out of 10, I'll take the guy that they put me out there with, and I'll go out there and I'll get him over, and then I'll put him over 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, just out of nowhere, just something quick, you know. I mean, you know, quick schoolboys, inside crate or something, just out of nowhere, and put the guy over. Now everybody's sitting around like, holy, really?
Yeah.
You know, but the people that's in the building are looking at this guy like, man, he beat, you know. So that gives the kid the rub. It gives the kid the rub, and by giving the kid the rub, it gives the company a little rub. You know, that they at least got some guy, you know, because we pay people, and I'm just as guilty, but I'm guilty. I'm guilty because I use it for a totally different thing. Like if I bring a talent in, a name talent in to work one of my guys, I'm doing it for a couple reasons. One, I'm hoping because I don't run like these weekly shows, or I don't run these events where I'm using this event to spearhead this event or to spearhead this event. Whenever I run an event, it's usually for a cause. You know what I mean? Like for bullying or it's usually for some type of benefit or cause. But I have guys that I'm mentoring that I want to prove to the world that they can work with anybody. So I might pay Shane Douglas to come in and work this kid, or I might pay Adam Pearce to come in and work this kid, or something like that. But I'm hoping twofold happens here. One, they'll work with Shane Douglas, and Shane Douglas will realize that this kid can go. This young kid can go. And then maybe later I can call Shane Douglas up and say, hey, man, you know, can you get my guy a spot on this event that you're, you know, a part of? Mm-hmm. You know, hoping to get him a rub that way, or Adam Pearce or something like that. hey, can you get my guy shot in Australia? Could you go over there? So that's what I use a name for is more or less to open doors for some of the younger guys that I mentor. Not so much to come back and sell tickets, because I don't like some people. They run the same building once a month or every other week or whatever, pretty much. So I'm not trying to build a following in that way, because all of my events are usually just specials or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way I use a name. Those promoters, I try to interject. Just tell me what you want. If you want me to put this guy over, I'll put this guy over. I don't have a problem with putting somebody over. Anybody that's been in this business that has a problem with putting somebody over, I think it's time for them to get out of business. And I know quite a few people that's like that.
At some point, someone laid down to put them over to get to where they were, so I don't understand why they can't return the favor. Usually the same people going up that you meet going down.
Look, the cornerstone of the professional wrestling business prior to the Monday Night Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cornerstone of the professional wrestling business were your quote-unquote either job guys or your enhancement talent. Because those were the guys that got the likes of a Hulk Hogan over, or Sting, or an Ultimate Warrior, guys that had absolutely no, I won't say that, but you understand my point.
Absolutely.
That there are guys that, had they not been good enough, and lay down, some of the bigger guys, because we didn't, back in the day, we didn't have superstar versus superstar matches on TV.
It was a treat. Now you have 3 hours of it a week, and no one wants to watch it like they used to.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. Even guys today have these ultramagnetic egos that's on TV today and don't want to. And you have to argue about putting somebody over? Really?
Well, Derek Jeter was considered a superstar in the world of baseball, and he was put out by the opposing team 7 out of 10 times. So I don't know why the same can't happen in wrestling.
Of course. Well, look,
not if you spoiled everybody, and now that every match is a main event match, you can't go backwards now. Can you go back to wrestling when we have talent enhancement guys getting in the ring with these superstars? No, can we?
Yeah.
I think in a limited way it would work, because I think there are enough fans that would like to see more of the guys they enjoy go out there and do their thing. Establish finishing moves again. When was the last time, outside of a select few, do you see someone's finishing move put over as something special? You don't. The reason why Ryback got over so much in 2012, what did they do with him for a few months? They fed him jobbers and handicap matches, legitimate jobbers, not undercard guys that have a theme song and are under contract, legitimate young job guys. And he got over huge.
I agree. Look at how popular, and he had lost. He had never won a match. Either with the hood on or without the hood on. But when they changed his character and started having him squash other jobbers, look how big Gilbert got over, man.
Yeah.
Look how big Gilbert got over. Look how big Barry Horowitz got over when they started letting him win. And he had been an enhancement talent for years,
Long time, yep.
I mean, I am of the belief that any smart person starting a regional promotion that has television should and would be very smart, would be a genius to have their top guys work enhancement talent to get them over on TV, and then when they build up, and they can still build rivalries, because the thing was, in the past, we didn't have matches just to have matches. You didn't put Wahoo McDaniel against Ric Flair just because Wahoo McDaniel won a bunch of matches over here and Ric Flair won a bunch of matches over here. You told by the commentators and different things. For example, Wahoo might be in the ring wrestling, and in the midst of him wrestling, the commentators are talking about he's got to be a number one contender to the United States title or to the world title. Well, having heard that, a couple weeks on TV, Ric Flair absolutely pops up out there one day during the middle of one of his matches to the commentary booth and say, you know what, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've heard you guys out here talking about, the fat squawoo here, has got to be the number one contender to the United States title or to the world title. Why? Because he beat a couple people, a couple no-name guys, that doesn't make him the number one contender. But because of the champion I am, I'm going to prove to you guys that him beating those guys means absolutely nothing when he gets in the ring with somebody like me who's a champion. Okay, that sets the stage. Next week, Flair and Wahoo match on TV. They have a good match, and out of nowhere, Wahoo gets a win. It's a non-title match, but what does it say in the end when the commentators get on that? See, Flair, like we said, he's a number one contender for your belt or the United States belt. And Flair's thing is, it was a fluke. Okay, it was a fluke. Well, let's do it again. Okay, 3 weeks, Charlotte Coliseum, I'll give him a title match. Now it's a title match in a big venue, not on TV. Now the people want to see it. They got to come to the Coliseum to see it. And that's how you draw money. That's how you draw money.
It's unfortunate.
You use those enhancement talent. Wait, I'm sorry.
It's sad that this entire generation of fans have been spoiled to the magic that used to be behind it, where now it's just instant gratification. Some weeks you could put on a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown and see the same top guys 2 or 3 times in different vignettes and promos and an actual match. And last night's pay-per-view, I thought going in, I figured, looked at the lineup, I said, geez, that's outside of the gross matches, that's a really strong card. It'll be good action. But leading into it, the guys were so overexposed, even to the point where they were doing angles with the Cell the week before the pay-per-view. What's the incentive to go out of your way to watch it or buy it?
Right. None. There is no incentive. There is no incentive. And to me, that's why the ratings have dropped. That's why they're not selling the subscription that they need for the network to be working.
Right. I think as far as the network goes, I don't want to make it sound like I'm putting them down, because I think it's what they do in the grand scheme of things. Pick apart week by week and so on and so forth, even show by show. It's just there's too much content that's available for free. I don't think there's enough variety with the entire roster as much as there could be. And I don't think in a lot of cases you're going to get the casual fan to separate with $10 a month when they're already getting 5 hours of star versus star wrestling for free on television. So that's just my opinion, but
right, I agree. I agree. And then the 5 hours that you're giving them for free is not even worth it.
Amen. I could. It's crazy. I could rattle off to you the month-by-month top 4 or 5 matches at the Boston Garden / Fleet Center, going back to the first time I went when I was in the first grade back in 1986. But I couldn't tell you what happened on television the past week or two. I can't remember it. It doesn't stick to my brain.
Right.
It's the same stuff over and over.
It is, and it's unfortunate because there's so many guys that deserve to at least have an opportunity to run with the ball and see if they score. And there's not enough people given that opportunity because it's the same guys over and over again in that position in those main event spots.
Well, I think last week we one of the points that was made about it being more about the title back in the day. I think that was one of a big thing that I don't really hit it home as far as if the belts were more of gold, then it has a title is holding the title now should have several different opponents coming at them to try to get that title. But they're not doing that. They have the same two people rivaling against each other constantly. And then it's going on for months and months and months, and nobody wants to continue to watch that.
No. It's disappointing because there are so many talented guys. The guys in the main events we're talking about right now, they're outstanding athletes. They're great professional wrestlers. The thing is,
they are.
It's not must-see TV or must-see pay-per-view in this case, I guess. When was the last time you felt compelled that you, quote-unquote, had to see this event? You had to watch Raw. You had to watch SmackDown. Because if you miss this episode, it's going to be very similar the next week.
Yep.
Right.
You're going to see the same two people go up against each other.
It was the thing that we were saying last week, that when they had a pay-per-view, when the belts were on the line and the belts were significant, that if you missed the pay-per-view and you didn't hear nothing about what happened that day, you couldn't wait to turn into Raw the next night to see who was still the champion, who was the new champion, or what happened. Now it's not like that.
Right.
It's just the fan in me would like to see more of a presentation like that. WWE is going to go where the dollar is. I think they missed an opportunity. Back in the Monday Night Wars, you had that competition. You had to put your best stuff out there. Once they brought WCW and ECW, there was an opportunity to go back to – you couldn't go back to the 1800s, so to speak, and just have 2 hours of squash matches, but there was a way to implement them slowly but surely, even if it was just 1 or 2 a week, 1 per hour. It would do a much better job at getting the new characters over.
Right. So now they try to do it. They tried to do it by high-powered vignettes. This is how we introduce them and then bring them in there. I mean, they didn't even do that with us when we came in. We came in, we did job matches for the first 6 months. We squashed people, period. We squashed people for the first 6 months, and then the very first time we were on television against it was against the Quebecers in Superstars match. You know, in our brain, we're working the tag team champions, and in our brain, me and Nelson are sitting there like, man, our career is over with because we're working the champions, and there's no way they're going to put us over on the champions. We're going to lose on TV, and if you lose on TV, that's it. You're done. That was our thinking, right? You know, so then we put the match together, and it turns out we win the match by DQ. We win the match by DQ and are told to, you know, grab the belts and celebrate in the ring with the belts, you know, to kind of see how the fans take that whole thing. You know, we thought, okay, this make, you know, now because we didn't know, we didn't have a clue about booking and psychology. We just knew what we saw on TV, and when we was watching on TV at home. When you was a superstar and you got beat on TV at home, usually you were on your way out.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's the way we saw it. When you was a superstar and you got beat on TV, that usually meant you was on your way out, and we would probably see you in WCW or somewhere else. So in our brain, we thought, you know, because we had already been fired once. We had already been fired once because we wasn't hanging out with the boys for no reason. So we didn't think in our brain anyway that we had any longevity there. So when that match came up that day, I mean, when you're talking about sweating bullets and scared, and you know, but nowadays they introduce a guy like Bo Dallas or Adam.
I don't believe what I'm seeing. Exactly.
Right, and Adam Rose, and they introduce these guys, and then when they make their debut against, you know, somebody like a Heath Slater that everybody already knows. If you go in the ring against Heath Slater, you coming into the company, you going in the ring against Heath Slater. I mean, fans would just have to be stupid to think that you're not going to win. You know what I mean? I mean, they've made it that obvious. They've made it obvious, you know, who you can go in the ring with and who you're going to beat. You know, Xavier Woods or the black guy with the dreadlocks. Ron
Oh, you're not
Killing.
talking about Kofi.
Not Kofi, the other one, Ron Killing. Xavier Woods, R-Truth, Heath Slater. You know, there was just that certain group of guys that you knew if you ended up in the ring with one of them on your debut, everybody knew that you was going over. It was, you know, but if you bring somebody in like Bo Leave or you bring somebody in like Adam Rose and you put them in the ring with enhancement talent and you give them an opportunity to go in there and work, show what they got, and use their finisher, and you do that over a period of time, now you get that person over, you get that person's finish over. When you put them in the ring with a superstar, and they got this back and forth match, and then out of nowhere, that superstar gets caught with that finish, 1, 2, 3, and you see it coming because you see it set up, you see it coming, and that superstar gets caught with that finish. As a fan, you're like, nah, you know, that guy's tough. And can't nobody kick out his superstar, his finish. You know, could nobody kick out a Goldberg's finish, or could nobody kick out of the Stone Cold Stunner, or you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I agree with you 110%.
I personally think that the you know, I don't know if Vince will ever do this, but I personally think that if I was a millionaire and I decided I was going to run a regional organization, everybody on my full-time roster, as I built them up, would not work superstar matches on TV. The only way you're going to see a superstar match for my promotion would be you have to come down to the local YMCA or wherever it is I'm running and buy a ticket to see this.
You got that right.
And if you don't see it, and if you miss it, when I come back on TV next week, you know, I'm going to have my announcers with still frames, not video, highlight, you know, what happened and the outcome, because I still want you to come back and see them the next month. So maybe you'll say to yourself, I missed it last month. I'm saving all my money to get my ticket to go see, you know, I need to see it in person. Because I used to hate that as a kid watching wrestling and miss Ric Flair against Steamboat at the Charlotte Coliseum or the Greensboro Coliseum, and then when it comes back on the next week, you know, they didn't have videotape of the match. They just had, you know, still shots. And then they talk about, and still, you know, world's heavyweight champion, you know, under suspicious circumstances or thanks to the help of these guys. And then here comes Flair, and here comes, you know, Arn and Tully Blanchard come in with him, laughing and smiling, and they're like, champ, you still the champ, but if not for these two guys, and then that's when Flair shut them up, you know, make the announcers shut up and let them explain what happened, you know, to build continuity for the next house show, not for the next TV program. You know what I mean? Because you're going to watch TV. You're going to watch TV because they build up to the house show, and then you're going to come back and watch TV again if you missed the house show because you're going to want to know what happened at the house show. So in either case, you were watching the program.
Yep.
Because you didn't want to miss anything. You know? And that's what WWE
You had a reason to
doing.
watch. You had that incentive to watch, and you had that incentive to go out to the house show and buy a ticket because you couldn't see it for free. And if you wanted to find out what happened, there was no internet. You had to watch the TV show.
You had to watch it. You had to watch it.
Yep.
You know, I think the worst thing that could have happened to the wrestling business is the internet and Dave Meltzer.
You know, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. If it wasn't Dave Meltzer, it could have been anybody that started off doing that. I think he presents the business in a much more sincere form than a lot of the quote-unquote internet guys do. I just think the internet, more than anything, has made wrestling available to people that have no business being involved in it whatsoever. Les Thatcher uses a great phrase that I like to steal. That it's not wrestling anymore. It's like Little League Baseball. If you go to any one of these schools, you pay a couple $100 and, you know, wave the magic wand, you're all of a sudden a professional wrestler. You go out to a show where someone's buying a ticket and you insult their intelligence and piss on their money. Why would they want to come back again?
True.
That's just my opinion.
It's true. It's true. I mean, anybody with a couple $100 can get trained these days, and some people don't even pay a couple $100 and get trained. All you gotta do is be a friend of a friend of a friend, you know, and show up and buy some amateur boots and kick pads and some biker shorts, and you're a professional wrestler.
Yeah, that's what it's come to. It's sickening.
And I mean, when you look around the business, that is the dress. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Biker shorts, kick pads, amateur wrestler boots. You know, nobody wants to spend $350 to get a legitimate pair of wrestling boots. You know, or have somebody make them a decent pair of trunks. You know, just buy some nice knee pads or whatever, and look professional coming out the gate. You know,
if the people in the business don't treat it with respect, how do they expect fans to treat it with respect?
Or want to buy it? Right. I agree wholeheartedly. But a lot of them, promoter-wise, really don't care as long as they put an extra couple $100 in their pocket. You know,
a lot of them don't even care about the money aspect of it. They just want to rub elbows with stars, or they want to be able to mark out to their friends and say, "Oh, I'm a wrestling promoter." You know, what they're presenting, you know, that's a different story for a different time. But it's a whole triangle between some of the guys trying to break in, the lack of quality training in a lot of cases, and the you know, quality of the promotions that are running nowadays. It's, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And you could have never mind an hour or a day's discussion about some of it. And it's sad because there are great guys out there right now. There's quality training facilities out there right now. There's quality promotions that run right now. There are some great young athletes with a lot of heart and desire right now that want to break into the business, but the problem is there are too many people that don't fit into what I just said in the previous sentence getting involved in it, and that makes it difficult for the good guys.
Right. And in the past, it was a closed closed door. Anybody just couldn't get into it.
It was a secret society, like Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, right. It's not that way anymore.
No.
Here's what happened though. It's not a secret society anymore. It's just that you can get in on the ground floor, but you'll never make it to the penthouse.
Right.
If you're not related to somebody, you'll never make it to the penthouse. You can get in on the ground floor for free. But if you're not related to somebody, or if you don't do something just astronomical that's going to get you recognized, you're never going to get on that top floor.
Over the course of time, can you put the genie back in the bottle? Does it get worse, or as years go on, does it get better? Can we all, as individuals who have been in the business and we're veterans, can we all say enough is enough and start shutting that door little by little and bringing it back to the way it used to be, or does it just get worse?
I'm honestly very scared about it. I just think we're in a position now where you have these guys who themselves may not be what we may consider a quote-unquote professional wrestlers, but you have these guys training people, and their goal is not to respect the professional wrestling industry. Their goal is to line their pockets with money. They'll take anybody off the street, no matter what they look like, how big they are, how short they are, how skinny they are, how fat they are, no matter what. They'll take their money because the one currency in professional wrestling is green. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Chinese, or anything in between. And it's the same thing with these wrestling promoters. Until the day comes when these people will say, no, I don't care if you work for free. No, I don't care who you drove to the building with and you're friends with. You know, wrestling needs to, in some ways, discriminate a little bit. We just can't allow everybody in the door. You know, is this going to turn into a situation, you know, not to be funny, but with the border in Mexico going into Arizona and New Mexico and so on? Everybody's allowed in, and there's no protection for the quote-unquote good guys that are trying to do it the right way, for the fans and for the athletes that deserve a good opportunity and the best platform possible to perform on.
I think that this is just my own personal opinion. I think that if, and it's sad because Vince has managed to root out most of them, but I think that if in every state, okay, you had a governing body like an athletic commission that governed, who gets licensed as a promoter, who can train. In other words, if there was a way to regulate, kind of like being a barber, you can't teach someone to be a barber unless you're licensed, right, and certified, and then they have people that come around and check that stuff, And I think without a checks and balances system, I don't think that you can send it back, the way it was before. Because like he said, everybody's ultimate goal is that almighty dollar, And just like today, years ago, and they're still doing it now, people are going to find a way to make moonshine.
Yep.
They're still doing it. You know what I mean? They're still doing it. So somebody's going to find a way to build a building in the back of their yard, in the back of their house somewhere, and have guys come over and train and charge them $10, $5, $20 to make a few bucks. Somebody's going to find a way to beat the system.
Hey, you're 100% right about that. But what bothers me the most is that this business used to protect itself, and it does not do that anymore, ever.
Right. It did. And it used to be, even when I broke in the early part of 1990, there was only one or two places that you could call and buy wrestling boots.
Yep.
And it wasn't publicly known either. You had to ask somebody. It wasn't like you could, it wasn't like you could look in the yellow pages. You had to ask somebody. You know what I mean? And it used to be you couldn't just find a wrestling ring anywhere.
Right. Now you have WrestlingRingsRS.com. Anyone can get one.
Yeah. I had a guy offer to sell me a ring the other day for $800. I'm thinking, wow, really? $800? I had a guy offer me to sell me one for $1,200 because they know I do shows. But my point is, back in the day, that stuff was unheard of. That stuff was unheard of. Even when we broke in, when Gene Anderson broke us into the business, we had to try out. He didn't just say, okay, give me your money, come on, I'll train you. No, give me $250, come see me, meet me at the middle of this big field, this big open field, and I'm talking about for 4.5 straight hours. We ran, we did push-ups, we did Hindu squats, we put guys on our backs and carried them down the field, and got down, and then they put us on their back and carried us down the field. We did duck walk. Almost to the point of muscle failure. And if we didn't quit, at the end of that, Gene would say, you know what? You didn't quit. You're in, kid. The guys that quit, they just lost their $250. He sent them home.
Yep. Earn your way in, and no one has to earn their way in anymore because there's too many people willing to take fool's money.
All right, we got 5 minutes left before we got to wrap it up. Now, Dan, during Pro Wrestling, I know you got Holiday Headlocks coming up December 6th. We're going to talk about that, by the way. But March 6th, 7th, and 8th during Pro Wrestling Marathon, you guys have anything to do with that situation, or are you running the show during that time?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I'm not all that familiar with it yet. I'm sure, now that you and I have connected, you'll be able to fill me in on all the scoops about that, and it sounds like a great initiative, if nothing else.
Hey, let me ask you this question before Oscar go any further. Any chance you guys are doing something with Joe Bruin for the Hall of Fame, Fan Fest 5?
We've been involved with it in years past, not the past couple of years. It's a great concept for the fans, though.
Right. He I mentioned to him a couple years ago when I was there in Warwick. You know, there was a show like across the street, and I mentioned to him, I was like, well, you know, why don't you have an event, you know, that goes along, you know, as part of the Fan Festival weekend, because other people are having those events, and they're using the talent that, you know, you're bringing in for your deal. You know, it's almost like they're piggybacking off of all of your hard work. And he
absolutely.
He mentioned, you know, something about maybe thinking about doing something, and I didn't know if he had, you know, with John Senior being a part of what you guys do, I figured if somebody was going to do it, you know, it would be you guys. So I figured, well, you know, just while I had you on the radio, just throwing a shameless plug and say, I'll have my boots and I'll have my gear. I'll be ready.
There you go. You guys are going to be in the area a couple times next year. We'll have to try and get together at some point.
Well, we need to. We need to.
Yeah, this has been great conversation.
It's been a pleasure. It's always good to talk to somebody that's in the know than somebody that don't have a clue.
Absolutely. I feel like I made 2 new friends.
Well, looking forward to returning the favor this Thursday. I'm going to see you at the studio at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. All right, Dan?
Sounds good, my friend.
All right. That is Dan from MWF Supersite and
BostonWrestling.com, brother. Get the plug in.
Out there in Boston, Massachusetts area.
BostonWrestling.com.
BostonWrestling.com. John Cena Sr., Dan, and the crew out there doing big things, and we're looking forward to working with them a lot.
Absolutely.
Just to let you guys know, we will not be on this Thursday. We are doing the show tonight, so that's Monday night. You can catch it and download our show, Not Your Mama Radio or Blog Talk Radio. Winston-Salem, North Carolina fans, you can catch Mo and I at the WrestleCade Convention at the Winston-Salem, North Carolina Convention Center, November 29th. Catch us at Boston Pro Wrestling Marathon in Boston, March 6th, 7th, and 8th. New England Fan Fest, June 27th. For you Boston fans, you can catch Dreami Mimi and Oscar at the Impact Awards at the Boston Harbor Hotel this coming Thursday, 6 p.m. I'd like to thank Half Pint Kelly, Mike Gerard, Dr. David Reese, Dan from MWS Supersite, Jeremy Sebo, Smash Mouth Wrestling. As always, from Mo, Dreami Mimi, and myself, Oscar, happy Halloween and good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Everybody.
MOM Radio and Pipe Bomb Radio present Not Your Mama's Radio Show with your hosts, former WWE superstars Oscar, Sir Mo, and Dreami Mimi.